Hello everyone, welcome back to Atreyu Crochet. So in today's video I am going to be making a corner to corner infinity scarf. I forgot that I have this really cool variegated yarn. It's by Lion Brand. It's called Scarfie. And I think they call it Scarfie maybe because you can make the entire scarf with just this one skein. Anyway, the colorway is Charcoal Aqua. It's considered a bulky yarn, number 5, and it's calling for 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. If you're wondering how much is here, it's approximately 285 meters or 312 yards, and also 5.3 ounces, or if you want that in grams, 150. So yeah, I'm excited to make this corner to corner infinity scarf. It's going to be a little bit different than how most people make their infinity scarves. So yeah, just stay tuned. Things you will need include a crochet hook. Now I know this yarn calls for 6.5. I don't have 6.5 in my possession right now. So I'm going to use a 7. It was either that or a 6. But because this is an infinity scarf slash cowl, I kind of want that stretchy, loose feeling, so I went bigger. So I'm going to use 7 millimeter crochet hook. You're going to need a pair of scissors and a darning tapestry weaving needle, a tape measure, and a stitch marker. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a paper clip, a safety pin, some yarn of a different color, just something to mark the area. By the way, I recently purchased these weaving needles because they curve at the end. I got, I think 6 of them, 6 or 8 are in here. So yeah, I'm really excited to try these. But if you don't have these, that one right there works just fine. It's what I've been using all along. One of the things that I forgot to mention, you guys, is that this yarn is 78% acrylic and 22% wool. So it should feel really nice, and when you look at it, it definitely has that wool look to it. So can't wait to make this and try it on. Alright, so we're going to start out with a slip knot. If you don't know how to make a slip knot yet, check out my video showing you how to do so. Insert our crochet hook and tighten. Alright, so we're going to first start out by chaining 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chains. So now we're going to put our first double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So this is the first one, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to hold on to that while I yarn over. Going to go into the chain, yarn over, pull through to the front. Now I have 3 loops. Yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. Alright, there are now 2 chains remaining. 1, 2. We're going to put 1 double crochet in each one. So yarn over, go into the next chain there. Yarn over, pull through to the front. Yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over. Let's go into that last chain right there. Just put it right in there like that. Okay, yarn over and hold this down so it doesn't rotate on you. Keep that down like that. Yarn over, pull through to the front. 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. Okay, this is our first block. We just completed row 1. For right now, the number of blocks corresponds to what number row we're on. So we just completed 1 block. That was row 1. Now we're moving on to row 2, which means that row is going to have 2 blocks. If you guys don't know how to do the basic C to C, the corner to corner pattern, then check out the video above and you'll learn really quickly. Alright, so moving on to row 2, because we are increasing, we're going to chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so we have 6. Once again, we're gonna count back and put a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So this is the first one, 1, that's the second one, 2, that's the third one, 3, and that right there is the 4th one. So I'm going to put that finger there to hold the place of that chain while I yarn over, which is beginning my double crochet. And I'm going to go in to that 4th chain from the hook, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. I should have 2 more chains, 1, 2. I'm going to put, just as before, 1 double crochet into each one. Okay, and 1 more right there. Okay, so we chained our 6, we counted back to the 4th chain from the hook, and we put that first double crochet into that chain, and then there were 2 remaining chains. We put 1 double crochet in each one. When you look at this, you can tell this is the front of the work, and obviously this is the front of the work. However, now we have to turn it so that the bottom, you're looking at the back of the work at the bottom, but still the front of the work at the top. So once again, it was like this, where you're looking at the front and front. You turn the bottom one so that you're looking at the back now. And just remember, you should be looking at the front of the one you're currently crocheting, which is this one. Okay, so back, front. Now we're going to find that chain 3 space of this first block, and there it is. Okay, so these were our 3 double crochets, and that was that chain 3 space we created when we counted 4 chain stitches from the crochet hook. Okay, and we're going to insert our hook into that chain 3 space, and we'll slip stitch like that. Alright, now that we've slip stitched into this chain 3 space, we're going to chain 3. So in the previous video, I like to call that stepping up. And then we're going to fill this block in by crocheting 3 double crochets into that same chain 3 space. So let's get to it. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and now we just created that block. Alright, so this is row 2, and we have 2 blocks. This was row 1, we had 1 block. Row 2, 2 blocks, and we're still increasing. We're going to increase till we get to row 9. Okay, so let's just continue on doing exactly what we've been doing. So we're going to chain 6 because we're still increasing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Count back to the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go into that chain. Yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. Alright, with the 2 remaining chains there, you put 1 double crochet in each one to basically fill in the block that we're making. Alright, so remember, you're looking at front, but we want to be looking at the back at the bottom. So we have to turn that like that. So now we're looking at back, front. Find that chain 3 space there. Go into it and slip stitch by just going into the hole, yarning over, pulling through, and pulling through. Alright, now we need to step up by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to fill it in by putting 3 double crochets into that chain 3 space there. The same chain 3 space that we slip stitched into. Okay, so what have we done so far on row 3? Well, we've created one block when we chained 6 and then went back 4 chains and started that first double crochet, and then we added 2 more. Then we slip stitched, chain 3 up, added 3 double crochets in that chain 3 space, so that created the second block. So now we have one more chain 3 space here, so we're going to slip stitch by going in there, yarning over, pulling through to the front, and then all the way through. Now we're going to do what? Yes, step up by chaining 3, and then putting 3 double crochets into this final chain 3 space of this row. I can tell you that this is going to feel amazing around my neck because it's already feeling amazing in my hands, this yarn is, so excited for that. Okay, so as expected, row 3 has 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3. Row 2 had 2 blocks, 1, 2. Row 1 has 1 block, 1. Let's keep on going. Chain 6 because we're still increasing. Remember, we're going to increase all the way to row 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright, really pay attention because I'm going to get off camera soon because I think you guys have the hang of this. But for anyone that is still struggling a little bit, I'm going to demonstrate one more time. So count back to the 4th chain from the crochet hook. Here's the crochet hook. That's 1 chain, 2 chain, 3 chain, 4. Hold that 4th one with that thumb while you yarn over. So while you start to make your double crochet, now go into that chain that you're holding and create a double crochet. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now we know we're going to have 2 more chains left, 1 and 2, and we're going to put 1 double crochet into each of those chains. And into that last chain. Okay. Now at this point we look at what we're looking at. We're looking at the front of this square and the front of that one. Remember, we always want this bottom one. We want to be looking at the back of it. So how do we achieve that? We flip that part over, keeping this facing forward. So we're looking at the front, flip it. And now we're going to find that chain 3 space of that block, which there it is. We're going to slip stitch. So we'll just put our hook in that chain 3 space, yarn over, pull all the way through. Like that. Now that we've slip stitched, we're going to step up by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. Fill it in by putting 3 double crochets into that same chain 3 space that we slip stitched into. So 1, 2. Sorry about all the car sounds. A lot of cars going by right now for some reason. Alright, 3. We created that block, and this is row 4, so you guys know to expect 4 blocks by the time we finish. Alright, slip stitch to connect. So this is that chain 3 space. We're slip stitching to connect. Step up. 1, 2, 3. Fill it in. So 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Alright, that's 1, 2, 3 blocks. Connect by slip stitching into that last chain 3 space of this row. Step up by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. Fill in this block that we're creating by adding 3 double crochets into that same chain 3 space that we slip stitched into. Okay, so this is what we have, and because of how fuzzy this yarn is, it's a little difficult to see some of these squares down here, but basically this is row 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. Row 3 we have 1, 2, 3 blocks. For row 2 we have 1, 2 blocks, and for row 1 we have 1 block. So we're going to continue in the same fashion until we get 9 blocks. So we will complete row 9 and then I will check back in. Alright guys, so I just completed row 9, as is evidenced by the 9 blocks that I have. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, if I lay this flat down and we look at it, you'll be able to see that right now it's pretty much the same height that it is wide, but from this point on I'm going to only increase on this side. So what that means is that the scarf is going to get longer as we go in that direction. However, over here, this will be the side where we maintain or decrease. I think decrease is a bit of a misnomer because you're not technically decreasing, you're really just maintaining the width. Like, it's not getting any wider, you're maintaining it, but I guess in crochet terms they say decrease. So this is the decrease side, and we're going to put a stitch marker on this side so that whenever we see the stitch marker over here, we know that this is the side where we decrease. The decrease side is a little bit different than the increase side. We're going to do something different, and I'm going to show you momentarily. You guys already know that for the increase side, you start out by chaining 6 and then putting your first double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, and then putting 1 double crochet into the next 2 chains, and that increases that row. However, on this side, the decrease side of the scarf, we're going to do something different. So let me show you what we're going to do. Alright, and once again, this is the increase side and this is the decrease side. So since this is the side where we're decreasing, I'm going to add my stitch marker. Just add it over there like that. In the corner is fine. Alright, let's get to working on row 10 now. Alrighty, we got our stitch marker in and we're ready to go. Row 10. How do we know it's row 10? Well, we just completed the previous row and it had 9 blocks, so that meant it was 9 row. Therefore, this is row 10 that we're starting. From this point on, because we're now going to maintain or decrease on one side, we're going to have the same number of blocks for each row until we start to decrease on both sides. So we will be maintaining a total of 9 blocks for each row until we get to our desired length. Alright, so remember, this side there's no stitch marker, right? The stitch marker is over here. This side is an increase side, so remember, on the increase side we always chain 6. And here's an easy way to figure out which chain you should be putting your first double crochet in. So chain 3, 1, 2, and then hold the 3rd chain right after you make it. 3, hold. And that's going to be the chain that we put our first double crochet in. And then 4, 5, 6, yarn over, and now just go back into that chain there. Okay? I forgot that I taught that in the previous video. It had been a while since I had done C2C, so I forgot to tell you guys that at the beginning of this one. But yeah, that's an easier way to do it, I think. Just as you're counting your 3rd chain, right after you create it, just put your thumb on it and that marks it. And then you don't have to worry about counting back 4 chains from the crochet hook. Alright, we're looking at it. This is the front of that one. This is the front of that one. So we know we turn our work so that the bottom one, we're looking at the back, which we are. Alright, we're looking at the back. Now connect. We're going to slip stitch into that chain 3. space, step up by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3. Fill in the block by putting 3 double crochets into that same chain 3 space. Alright, okay, so connect, slip stitch, step up, 1, 2, 3, fill it in, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet. Connect, slip stitch into that chain 3 space, step up, 1, 2, 3, fill it in, 1, 2, 3. Okay, here's the next one. Connect by slip stitching into that chain 3 space, step up, 1, 2, 3, 3 double crochets to fill it in. Alright, next one, connect, slip stitch, step up, 1, 2, 3, fill it in. 3 double crochets in the chain 3 space. 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Give myself some slack. Connect, chain 3 space, slip stitch, step up, 1, 2, 3, fill it in, 1, 2, 3, connect, chain 3 space, slip stitch, step up, 1, 2, 3, fill it in, 3, connect, chain 3 space, slip stitch, step up, 1, 2, 3, fill it in, 1, 2, 3. Connect, chain 3 space, this is the last one. And remember that stitch marker tells me that this is not an increase side, right? This is a decrease or a side where we maintain, okay? So let's count how many blocks we have so far. We have, for this row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's also a clue that, hey, don't add another block over here. If it were normal, if this was not a maintain or decrease side, we would step up by chaining 3 and fill it in by putting 3 double crochets into this chain 3 space, but it's not. So now we're gonna turn our work like this, chain 1, and these 3 double crochets that we just made, we're going to slip stitch into each one. So here's the first one, just slip stitch, going all the way through. Here's the top of the next one, slip stitch, all the way through. Here's the next one, slip stitch, and just go all the way through, that's 3. And remember, here's a chain 3 space, so we're going to slip stitch into it like normal. And now, step up. 1, 2, 3. Fill it in. This is what you guys already know. You'll fill in that chain 3 space with 3 double crochets, essentially creating the block. And now connect. Find the chain 3 space. Slip stitch. Alright, so let's stop for a moment and look at what we did. Turn this back over right quick. So we were going down or up, depending on how you're looking at it. And then right here, that's where we put our slip stitch. And normally, once we slip stitch into the chain 3 space, we would chain 3 up and then put 3 double crochets. That would have added a block and made it wider, but this is a decrease or maintain side. So instead we chained 1, turned our work, and started going back the other way. So we didn't create another block here. We turned our work, we ended here, and then we did a slip stitch into each of those double crochets, and then we put a slip stitch into this chain 3 space, and then everything was normal thereafter. Because we're in the chain 3 space, we chain 3 and then add 3 double crochets. And that is what kept our edge like this, okay? If we had continued on like normal, we would have put 3 double crochets here, and there would have been a chain 3, and then there would have been another block here. But now this is the decrease or maintain side, so that's why we didn't do that. So every time you get to this side, remember you're going to have a chain 3 space that's here, but we're not going to utilize it. You're going to slip stitch, chain 1, turn your work, and then work your way back over so that you can maintain this edge. Okay? Let's get across. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Okay. And this is what we've been doing all along. Connect by slip stitching, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then 3 double crochets to fill it in. 1, 2, 3. Connect, chain 3 space, slip stitch into it. I'm just going to stop there so you guys can clearly see what's going on. Okay, so once again over here, we could have made another block. If we didn't see the stitch marker, we would have, but the stitch marker told us that, hey, this is the maintain or decrease side, so we didn't add another block. We instead slip stitched back and then started to create this block. And now we're just making our way back up to the top. I will meet you once we get back here. Okay, so we're almost done with this row. And now we're at that connect part. And there's a chain 3 space. But we need to know whether or not it's an increase side or a maintain side. So let's look at this. Do we see a stitch marker? No. Remember, the stitch marker is on that side. So this is the maintain side or edge. This is the increase edge, so it's okay once we slip stitch in here to chain 3. So step up 1, 2, 3, and to put that last block, fill it in by adding 3 double crochets into that chain 3 space. Why? Because we want to grow in length. We want to grow the height of this scarf, right? So it's okay to do that. And because we're growing this side, it's an increase side, so we chain 6, 1, 2, 3, hold on to that third chain there, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, yarn over, go into that chain that we held, because that's the 4th chain from the hook, put our first double crochet, and then 1 in the remaining 2, the last one there, okay. When we're looking at this, we're looking at front, we want to look at back, so we turn our work, back, front. Now connect, chain 3, space, slip stitch, step up, 1, 2, 3, fill it in, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Connect, chain 3, space, slip stitch. Step up, 1, 2, 3. Fill it in, 3 double crochets. I think you guys have the hang of this. I'm going to meet you at the other edge so I can show you how to maintain the other edge one more time. So I'll meet you there. Alright, I kind of have my scarf laying on its side, and I'm working that same row, and I'm almost at the end now, where I'm about to fill it in by adding 3 double crochets into this chain 3 space. I see that stitch marker, so this lets me know that this is a maintain side. So after I put these 3 double crochets in there and I slip stitch into this chain 3 space right here, I'm not gonna chain 3 up and then fill it in, because that would add a block outside the border. So instead, I'm gonna add these 3 double crochets into this chain 3 space, slip stitch, chain 1, turn it, and then slip stitch my way back across into those 3 double crochets, and then putting the final slip stitch into this chain 3 space there. And then I'll start to make my way back in that direction. By the way, remember I told you for all the rows in the foreseeable future, while we're creating this length, you should have 9 blocks for each row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and what I'm about to create will be the 9th block, so it checks. Alright, it's time to deliver. So fill it in. 1, 2, 3. Connect, find the chain 3, there it is, space, and then slip stitch. Now, because this is a maintain edge denoted by the stitch marker, I'm going to chain 1 instead of chaining 3, and I'm going to turn my work. And now these 3 double crochets that I just made, I'm going to slip stitch across, putting 1 slip stitch into each one. 1, 2, 3, and now we're at the chain 3 space. Just want to put a slip stitch in there, just as I normally would. That's the 4th slip stitch. Now we'll chain 3, 2, 3, and now fill it in. So put our 3 double crochets into that chain 3 space. 2 and 3. Connect. Slip stitch into the next chain 3 space. Okay? And then chain 3. So step up. Alright, so slip stitching here allowed us to go back in that direction, and it kept this edge from increasing, because we don't want the scarf at this point to get wider. We just want to grow, as I've said before, in length. Okay, so this width now is set in stone, and now we'll just be getting longer. And remember that we're going to be keeping a total of 9 blocks for each row until we get ready to decrease on both sides. So I'm gonna get off, let you guys crochet, and I'll be doing the same thing, and I will see you once I get to the desired length. Alright, I really don't have the space to show you, but if you were to measure along the longest edge, notice how it slopes down, right? The longer edge measures out to approximately 50 inches. So that's like 127 centimeters, okay, if you're using the metric system. So that's how long I decided to make mine. You can make yours longer or you can make it shorter. It all just depends on what you are trying to achieve. So now that I'm at this point, when I get here, I no longer want to increase. I want to maintain or decrease, which means I'm going to be decreasing on both sides. So if we go way back to the beginning, remember this side didn't have the stitch markers, so that side was the increase side, which is why if I had not already arrived at my desired length, then I would, you know, slip stitch, chain 3, and put another box there by putting 3 double crochet into that chain 3 space. But now that I've reached the desired length, I'm going to decrease. And if we look over here, this is the side with the stitch marker. So this side, I'm going to do what I've always been doing this whole time, chaining 1, slip stitching across, and then maintaining that side or decreasing it. So now I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and slowly we're going to form that corner. It's going to like start to close up, and that'll be the final corner. Alright, so let's get into it. Alright, so this is where we are. Chain 3, put our 3 double crochet into that chain 3 space below, and now we need to connect. Here's the chain 3 space, so we'll put a slip stitch. Once again, we don't want to go past this, right? Past this edge, because we've made it as long as we want it to be. So we know what to do when we maintain or decrease a side. We chain 1, return our work. Okay. And now we slip stitch back through those 3 double crochets we just made in the previous row. So slip stitch 1, slip stitch 2, and slip stitch 3. Alright, now we're going to slip stitch into the chain 3 space, and that'll be the 4th slip stitch. Alright, now it's business as usual. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and put our 3 double crochets into the chain 3 space. 1, 2, and 3. Let me show you something before we proceed further. I meant to show you this before. Okay, now that I've gotten this turned around, I just wanted to show you that I had indeed been maintaining 9 boxes per row, or 9 blocks per row. So let's start here. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and if we count this one, it'll also be 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. But with this one, since yes, we decreased on this side, but we also decreased up there, or maintained on this side and maintained up there, it's only going to be 8 boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 right there. If we continue to increase, this would have been where the 9th box was. But now that we're starting to maintain, aka decrease on both edges, and fill this in like that, you're going to get fewer boxes with each successive row. Okay, so I just want to show you that I actually had maintained 9 boxes while I was crocheting these 50 or so inches, or 127 centimeters. All right, let's move on. All right, let's continue. So now it's time to connect this box. So find the chain 3 space, slip stitch, chain 3, step up, 1, 2, 3, fill in the square or box, 3 double crochets, 2, 3, connect, find the chain 3 space, slip stitch, step up, fill it in, connect, find the chain 3 space, slip stitch, step up, 1, 2, 3, fill it in, 3 double crochets into that same chain 3 space that we slip stitched into. I know you guys know what to do now, because you've been doing it all along. Well, I haven't been on camera. Connect, find the chain 3 space, the next one, slip stitch, step up, fill it in, 1, 2, 3, connect, find the next chain 3 space, there it is, slip stitch, step up, 1, 2, 3, fill it in, and make sure that you're not splitting yarn you don't mean to split, which is probably most yarn, if not all. Two and 3, connect, slip stitch into that chain 3 space. That's the last. Oh, I misspoke. That's not the last one. Step up, fill it in. 2, 3. All right. Alright, connect, find the chain 3 space, there it is, slip stitch. And remember, we're maintaining that edge, so we're maintaining both sides now. So regardless of what side you end up on, we're never going to do any more chain 6s, right? We do the chain 1, turn our work, and slip stitch over to this chain 3 space. So slip stitch into the first double crochet, slip stitch into the second double crochet, slip stitch into the third double crochet, and our fourth slip stitch is going to go into that chain 3 space. Now we're going to step up by chaining 3 and fill in the space with 3 double crochets. That's 1. That's 2, and my yarn is getting in the way. That's 3. Alright, connect, slip stitch, and I'm going to meet you at the other side while I detangle this yarn. Alright, I've gotten my yarn detangled and I am basically almost at the end. So I slip stitched into the chain 3 space, stepped up, now I'm about to fill it in. 1, 2, and 3. Trying to make sure I got this in the shot for you. Okay. And we're at the edge now. So we know what we do. We find the chain 3 space, that's the same. We slip stitch, that's the same. But no more chaining 6. We chain 1 because remember we are maintaining or decreasing on either side. And now we're gonna turn our work and we are going to slip stitch back across. So find the first double crochet, which is there, go on the top of it and slip stitch 1, 1, next one, 2, next one, 3, and now we're in the chain 3 space, so slip stitch in there. That's the fourth slip stitch, and now we chain 3, step up, 1, 2, 3, fill it in with 3 double crochets. Okay, let's take a moment and look at how many boxes we had in the previous row. All right, starting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so remember we were at 9. Now we're at 6. This one is about to connect like that once I slip stitch, and that one's going to have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then the next one will have 4, and then 3, and so on. I'm going to meet you when we get down to 1 block. Okay? I'll see you there. You guys got this. Just remember to decrease or maintain on either side, on both edges, alright? Okay, so I'm almost done with this second to last row. Here's the one box, here's the second box, and now I need to connect by finding the chain 3 space and slip stitching into it. Okay, remember we're not increasing, so no chain 6s. We haven't done any chain 6s in a while since we started decreasing, in fact. So you'll chain your 1, you'll turn your work, and we're going to slip stitch across. So here's the 3 double crochets, so 1 slip stitch in each. 1, 2, 3. Don't forget to slip stitch into that chain 3 space. Okay, and now we need to create this final box, which is going to make that corner there, by stepping up 1, 2, 3 and filling it in. 3 double crochets into that chain 3 space. 1, 2, and 3. And the final thing that we're going to do is connect. So find the chain 3 space, there it is, and slip stitch. Now if you were just making a scarf, you could chain 1, cut your yarn and fasten off, hide your tails, and then you would have your scarf. But because we're making this sort of scarf cowl thingy, we're not going to do that. I am going to chain 1, turn my work, and slip stitch my way over because I want to get back to this edge because I'm going to connect the short edges. It's been working all this time, why not continue? So I'm going to slip stitch my way across through the 3 double crochets, 2, 3. Then I'm going to slip stitch in this chain 3 space just like I normally would for any other decrease, aka maintain row. And now I am going to crochet the edges together. So let me rearrange the scarf so you can get a better view. Okay, I now have both short edges together. You can see that's where the stitch marker was, and it's still there from the very beginning. And it's nice and straight, it's not turned or anything. It's folded nice and straight. And basically I'm just going to slip stitch this edge and this edge together, and I'm going to go all the way across to this end. And then it will be an infinity scarf because there will be no beginning or an end. Alright, it's going to be important to try to match up each edge and each stitch, if you will. So this is my slip stitch, and I'm just going to go in that corner right there of that side. Just find a nice sturdy spot and just yarn over and pull all the way through to continue to slip stitch. And like I said, you're going to slip stitch across. Just make sure that you're lining it up well so that it doesn't buckle and so that you don't end up further along on one edge than on the other. So it doesn't hurt to kind of measure it out every so often after you've slip stitched a few times. And it doesn't need to be super tight, these slip stitches. You're just basically combining the ends. In fact, you don't want it to be tight because it'll buckle and it may not be as seamless as it would be otherwise. So you can keep them a bit loose. Not too loose, but just a bit. And we'll just continue on across. like this, trying not to split the yarn as you go through the stitches. And it's really challenging with this type of yarn because it's so, I don't know, it's just kind of hairy, fuzzy. It can be hard to see what you're doing, right? Like for instance, here's a good example. If I left that on there, that would leave it tight. So I'm going to pass that over, and now I'm able to loosen up the tension. Okay, so looking for things like that, as I just take my time slip stitching across. By the way, I was going to use the weaving needle that I showed you earlier to do this, but figured I didn't have to cut my yarn, so I shouldn't. And we'll still use that to weave in the final tail and the tail at the beginning. We'll still use that darning needle there, but this, using the crochet hook, is more than sufficient for binding these two edges so that we can arrive at our infinity scarf. Our corner to corner infinity scarf, in fact. Okay. Now some of these are starting to get kind of hard to get into, so I'm gonna, and you don't have to, you can continue struggling if you're struggling with the 7mm, but I'm gonna switch to a smaller hook just so I can get into the stitches hopefully a little bit more easily. So this is a 5mm. Let's see if it makes a difference. Oh yeah, definitely. Still leaving it loose. In fact, you might want to even give yourself a little bit more tension since you're working with a smaller hook, because a smaller hook means a smaller loop, smaller stitches. So just pull up a little bit to give yourself that. But it gets through these stitches much easier than the 7 because it's smaller. So if you happen to have a smaller crochet hook laying around, then feel free to improvise the way that I did. Okay, trying not to split. So just finding a nice place on either side. In fact, let me compare these, line them up like I told you guys you should do. Okay, almost across, you guys. There we go. Almost there. I'm getting excited. Okay, and then last one, this corner. Should find the corner there and not the tail. All right, slip stitch. There we go. All right, now we can cut our tail. So we will chain 1, cut the yarn, and pull through. Okay. For me, because those two tails are like right there, I'm gonna tie a knot, and I'm gonna tie a couple of knots there. So 1, and then 2. I always tie 2 knots. If I have to tie 1 knot, I always tie a second. That's just my little rule. All right, and then we can tuck these in later. I'll show you that. But let's take this stitch marker out. Like that. Okay. And when you flip it, when you turn it inside out, this is what that edge will look like. Okay. So not quite seamless, but there's no beginning and there's no end, so it's infinity. All right, so I'm going to attempt to yarn my needle, thread my needle. Alright, I can do it. There we go. Good. And now, because we're working with this teal turquoise color, we're going to go through those color stitches. Just in there. Alright, like that. Alright, and now we are going to go back and kind of just through the stitches up and over and through them again. And you pull like that, just kind of stretch it back out. And now we can cut that excess like that, and that should hold. Okay. As far as this one right here, I'm going to show you a slightly different technique. So it's just another way that you can tie off your end. You can find a nearby stitch, yarn over, pull through like that, keep the loop there, yarn over, pull through, like you're essentially chaining. Pull that through, and then a knot is made there. And now that's secure, and we can cut that off as well. Alright, so now the eyesores are gone, and this is what we have. This awesome corner to corner infinity scarf. I do hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. I will see you in the next video. In the meantime, happy crocheting.